I know. I've been enjoying your stuff on AI and sort of the art of failure. Do you want to speak a little bit about that? Because that's so in the news right
Yeah,
now. Some of your opinions on AI
sure.
and how it affects artists.
Yeah, I was even thinking about, writing a Way of the Artist Part Two, because I think that, you know, so much of what I mean is fascinating actually. The way that artists have been taught to do art, especially at the collegiate level, but even before then, is a lot of is everything that AI has been trained to do, that AI does flawlessly. Know your audience. All of these sort of modes of um, packaging, which streamline the artistic process and create a sort of implacable success, and heighten your chances for success by essentially stealing from your recent successes, building on them, and transforming them into commodities. And that's exactly what AI does. It's able to um, sort of scrape data in terms of audience consumption, take that scraped data, take all of the valuable successes of that data, and then create new pieces of art or writing or whatever they are based on the consumptive patterns of previous successes, and based on the intended audience that the AI is targeting. So all the things we've been trying to do, and only doing so well because we're humans, AI now does flawlessly. So everything artists have been taught is essentially going to be useless, because what we've been teaching ourselves is to create the most artificially streamlined and, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, anyway, the word is escaping me right now, but it's like one of those current just total buzzwords. But anyway, the point being that AI is the first invention that I can think of that is essentially limitless. Like when we think about AI, it's like, okay, cool. So what's the limitations? And we can say, well, it's not real or something, but it does affect real life. And is the mind real? So as AI as a mind, where are its limits? I can think of any other invention, the calculator, the wheel, the airplane. It's like, okay, there's the limit. I see the limits. You can feel the limits, touch the limits. AI is almost limitless. So when we think about being in competition creatively with AI, the only thing that I see playing to our advantage are our limitations. And there's this great quote by Brian Eno that I'm going to totally fudge right now, but it's something like, the only valuable aspects of every paradigm shift creatively are those aspects which have pushed the limitations of that particular medium to the point of the breaking point. So you have, for instance, guitar distortion, or you have the 8-bit sort of quality of the first cameras that came out, digital cameras came out, that now all the Gen Z kids want. You have like these the limitations of the art form themselves, the saturation points, distortion points, the all of that stuff end up becoming, as he says, I think, like the signature of that art form. And um and I think what we have to do is play with our own limitations. So we have these really great limitations at our disposal. Some of them we've previously seen as really negatives, like impatience. So impatience is a great motivator and differentiator from AI, because it creates a time constraints. So when we have everything at our disposal, like we have the computer and we're sitting there and we have like my studio's back there and I have every mic I could possibly want. I have infinite amount of recording time. I have all the instruments. Where are my constraints? Because that phrase, like, necessity is the mother of invention, which is that post I made recently, it's really true. Like we create things, invent things because we need them, and because we have a moment of total necessity. And so we create something, and usually that necessity is created by constraints. Like, I don't have a tambourine present, so I'm going to put a bunch of pennies in a jar and shake them up. and that'll be my sound. And it's a totally new sound. Or I don't have the time to mic this up properly, so I'm going to mic it from over here and create this improper failed sound. And that failure in and of itself is the new piece of art. It's the new contribution to the sonic palette of culture. And I think that, what I love about this, if AI is doing all those things, well, it turns out from my own point of view, all those things AI doing were the very things that were taking all of the heart out of art to begin with, and streamlining the process and making everything just so capitalistically driven and product driven. And instead we get to now break things and fail and try off the wall oblique strategies that make things sound different and wrong. And it's those wrongnesses that create the newnesses, because otherwise, if we're always doing everything right, we're just going to end up with the same thing over and over again. So I think that there's a great opportunity here for artists to realize that the path that we'd been on is going to be totally overtaken by this machine learning process, and that the only things we're really going to be able to contribute. By the way, the argument that yeah, but we can still prompt the AI, that's just not a solid argument. I'm sorry for everyone out there. It's no, I'm still prompting it. There's already AI. The prompting is a gimme to get the thing to go viral. These large language learning machines don't need prompting. There's already self-prompting machines out there, self-prompting AI. They just scrape the data, give us what we want, that it assumes we want, which we do, and we don't have to prompt it. So that notion of we're going to use it ourselves and all that, I think, is sort of erroneous. The thing that we can do is fail in ways that AI is not capable of failing. We can assign our own limitations and create new works of art. And so the path of the artist, I think, is going to constantly be ahead of where AI is, so that we're forging new paths ahead vis-a-vis failure and via our own limitations and invention. And then AI is going to catch up to it, be oh shit, that's catching on, let me imitate that. And then we're going to have to forge ahead again, and then again, and then again. There's always be the avant-garde. And I think that's sadly the only future for artists, given where we're at, and it's going to rapidly accelerate. It's crazy.
Hey, if you like that video, you can see the whole thing at our Patreon page. That's right, just hit the link that you're seeing on the screen right now, and it'll take you there. And you can become a patron today and help us keep launching new artists and bringing left of center art and activism to a wider audience. And can't wait to see you soon.